Hi guys, this is Anaushka Das, 18BBT0151, and today we'll be discussing about the effects of genetically modified organisms on the environment. Modern biotechnology has allowed the movement of genetic material across unrelated species, something impossible with the traditional breeding methods. This intentional transfer of genetic material has in turn brought biotechnology out from the labs to the fields. GMOs are organisms whose genetic material has been artificially modified to change their characteristics in some way or the other. In essence, genetic engineering techniques enable scientists to find individual genes that control particular characteristics, separate them from the original source, and transfer them directly into the cells of an animal, plant, bacterium, or a virus. This has many applications. The application of genetic modification allows genetic material to be transferred from any species into plants or other organisms. The introduction of a gene into different cells can result in different outcomes, and the overall pattern of gene expression can be altered by the introduction of a single gene. The sequence of the gene and its role in the donor organism may have a relatively well characterized function in the organism from which it is isolated. However, this apparent precision in the understanding of a gene does not mean that the consequences of the transfer are known or can be predicted. Copies of a gene may be integrated, additional fragments inserted, and gene sequences rearranged and deleted, which may result in lack of operation of the gene's instability or interference with other gene functions, probably cause some potential risks. Therefore, there could be a number of predictable and unpredictable risks related to the release of GMOs in the open environment. The debate over the environmental impact of genetically modified organisms is growing increasingly complex and intense. It is further complicated as new research is published. Are GM crops safe for the environment? Assessing the environmental impact of GMOs is often difficult as many factors are considered. Some scientists focus on the potential risks of GM crops, while others emphasize their potential benefits. Just what are the issues and how can we address them? Introduced GMOs may interbreed with the wild type or the sexually compatible relatives. The novel trait may disappear in wild types unless it confers a selective advantage to the recipient. However, tolerance abilities of wild types may also develop, thus altering the native species' ecological relationship and behavior. Faster growth of GMOs can enable them to have a competitive advantage over the native organisms. This may allow them to become invasive, to spread into new habitats and cause ecological and economic damage. Pressure may increase on target and non target species to adapt to the introduced changes as if to a geological change or a natural selection pressure causing them to evolve distinct resistant populations. The effect of changes in a single species may extend well above to the ecosystem. Single impacts are always joined by the risk of ecosystem damage and destruction. Once the GMOs have been introduced into the environment and some problems arise, it is impossible to eliminate them. One risk of particular concern relating to the GMOs is the risk of horizontal gene transfer, HGT. HGT is the acquisition of foreign genes by organisms in a variety of environmental situations. It occurs especially in response to changing environments and provides organisms, especially prokaryotes, with access to genes other than those that can be inherited. And this may confer a novel trait in another organism, which may be a source of potential harm to the health of the people or the environment. These include enhanced pathogenicity, emergence of a new disease, pest or weed, increased disease burden if the recipient organism is a pathogenic microorganism or a virus, increased weed or pest burden, and adverse effects on species, communities, or ecosystems. HGT may transfer the introduced genes from a GMO to potential pests or pathogens, and many yet to be identified organisms. This may alter the ecological niche or potential of the recipient organism and even bring about unexpected changes in structure or function. Several scientific evidence that has emerged on GMOs over the last couple of years shows that there are several clear risks to human health and the environment. When genetic engineers create GMOs, they have no means of inserting the gene in a particular position. The gene ends up in a random location in the genetic material and its position is not usually identified. There are several examples of such undesired effects being identified in the US after approval, like GM cotton with deformed cotton balls. In addition, some indirect effects of GMO were also observed which potentially harm the environment. For example, some transgenic traits such as the pesticidal toxins expressed by Bt genes may affect non-target species as well as the crop pests. Toxicological studies of monarch butterfly provide excellent examples, which establish the sensitivity of monarch larvae to consuming Cry1AB protein from Bacillus thuringiensis expressed in transgenic maize. So now that we know about the various effects of GMOs on the environment, we can say that it is not that feasible to entirely curb the use of GMOs since they are clearly beneficial to mankind. So here are some ways to limit the adverse effect. The term contained use covers any activity involving GMOs in which measures are taken to limit contact between them and the people or the environment. It relates to the actual process of genetic modification and also to the use, transport, and destruction of GMOs. Containment of GMOs can be physical or biological. Physical containment includes barriers designed to prevent organisms from escaping the labs and be accidentally released. These may involve the use of specially built labs, sterilization procedures, restriction of access, and so forth. Biological containment involves designing the organism in such a manner that they cannot grow out of the labs. An important aspect in the process of GMO risk management is the post-release monitoring phase, initiating from the moment of environmental release. Regular inspections are necessary for effective monitoring using a diversity of analysis over an extensive period of time. Monitoring will have two focuses: possible effects of the GMO identified in the formal risk assessment procedure, and identification of the occurrence of adverse, unforeseen effects of the GMO or its use that were not anticipated in the environmental risk assessment. Seeds are the first step of the production chain. Allowing contamination in seeds would jeopardize the ability of the whole production chain to stay GMO free and multiply costs downstream. It would also rapidly render GMO free production impossible in Europe. Products from animals fed with GM feed should be clearly labeled. New breeding techniques should be regularly evaluated and unnecessary be legally defined as GMO. The seed legislation should provide transparency of the breeding techniques used for the production of the seeds, whether these techniques are considered as GMOs or not from a legal point of view for the time being. GMO-free zones should be established in regions where a majority of citizens is against the cultivation of GMOs, or a majority of farmers and processors make a living in the organic and conventional GMO-free sectors. Quality schemes and certain types of production should benefit from special protections such as beehive products with geographic and quality indications, GMO-free production, national organic specification, and private organic standards, conventional or organic seeds production, conservation varieties, and farmers' seed saving systems.